Y'all ready?
Ready.
All right.
Ready?
Everybody.
Okay.
Welcome to, with that being said, a Roux Fitness podcast. We are here with our partner in WODi Gras, our strategic partner, with the Legacy Foundation, Miss Nicole Labadot. Labadot? It used to be Labadot, but there's a lot of dumb people that live in Louisiana, so we have to pronounce it Labadot, right? Is that correct?
Sacrifice.
She's sweating over there now.
Now.
Cool. We also have with us Emily Schneller, our Director of Nutrition, COO, makes everything happen because I need direction. Awesome. And then we also have with us the Clyde Edwards-Helaire of everything.
Yes.
Miss Sarah Altobello, content creator extraordinaire. And I am Bradley Schneller, mayor of Rouville, and person who will dress up in anything
The
for a good laugh.
Wadfather.
Oh, the Wadfather. That's right. I got
Okay,
a name,
that's a
the
good one.
Wadfather. So
I think Carl gave you that one.
yeah. So for those of you who don't know, WODi Gras, that is our CrossFit competition that we are doing.
Fitness competition.
Functional fitness
Yes.
competition. That is 1/23/21. Boom. 1, 2, 3.
January 23rd.
January 23rd.
No, January
23rd.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
2021.
Yes.
2021.
1,
It
2,
is
3,
our
2, 1.
fourth year.
Fourth year. And we wanted to give back this year and partner with a very special cause that is Legacy Foundation. So let's just jump right in. Nicole, what is Legacy Foundation?
Yeah, Legacy Donor Foundation was founded back in 1999 with the purpose of increasing awareness about organ, eye, and tissue donation. So our primary mission is to just encourage people to learn about the myths and the misconceptions so they can make an informed decision when they're getting their driver's license or ID card and they're asked that important question.
What are some common myths?
You know, I think the biggest one is that people aren't going to save their lives. First responders, if I'm a donor, they're just going to let me die.
Oh, geez.
so that-
Really?
So that someone else gets my organs.
I used to
my
think that. I
gosh.
used to think that.
Really?
I used to think if it was on my card, like if I got in a wreck and the ambulance came.
It was an excuse to leave UB.
Yeah, they'd be like,
Oh my
oh,
gosh.
this guy looks like a goner. We're going to harvest his organs
Looks
right
like
here.
he's got a good heart. Let's take it.
Someone
No,
like Nicole or Linda rolls up with an ice chest and they just start harvesting my organs in the street.
Just right there.
Right. It's crazy though. We hear the stories and we hear them from people that are like, oh, I'm a nurse and I know this is what happens. And it's not what happens. Honestly, the first responders, number one thing is just to really make sure that you make every effort to take care of you and you're their number one priority. And honestly, organ donation doesn't even become a topic until someone is in ICU on life support and is just even deemed a possible candidate for organ donation. It's only at that point in time do they even really look it up. I think that, kind of like you just said though, Bradley, that if you're at like on the side of the road, you're not necessarily having somebody go pull your wallet out and look at your license to say like, let's see if there's a heart saying he's an organ donor. They're not looking for that.
I doubt that the paramedics have an ice chest on them anyway.
I can't imagine they're going to roll you over and check for your wallet
Scalpel.
and see what happens.
And honestly though, it's so sad because I think that and people saying it's against their religion are the two biggest hurdles that we're constantly faced with. And actually November, the 2 weekends prior to Thanksgiving is National Donor Sabbath, and that's a big time for us to just educate our faith-based communities so that those individuals who are working with their congregations can just let them know that it is not against your religion. This is actually the ultimate gift of kindness that we expect. And so we do things all year round, including that November, to try to really tackle that question of faith. And then ultimately really just make sure that people understand the realities of organ donation so they make the decision that works best for them and their families.
So when you see someone like me, maybe in the ICU on life support, you get super jacked because I probably got some good organs up in here. When I was going into my surgery, they rated me a 10.
They
10 out of
pegged you,
10
right?
in terms
10 out
of
of
his
10
health.
in health. So they were probably thinking, man, if something goes wrong, these organs are pretty
got
good.
it.
I'm kidding, y'all. Just trying to make it lighthearted here.
No, I love it. And it's not something people want to talk about. People never want to talk about death and dying. Nobody does. And honestly, without a catastrophic event happening, we can't increase the number of donors. And nobody wants a catastrophic event. I mean, we all know that. That's not the way we want to, help lower the number of people on the transplant waiting list. So ultimately, it's just about educating to really help people be able to make that decision. One of the things we know is that 95% of people in the U.S. actually believe in organ donation and support it, but only 58% are actually registered.
Whoa, really?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so simple.
Right.
Right. So, the beauty is that even though a lot of people are in that situation where they have to make that decision or their families make that decision, if they're not a registered donor, we're really fortunate that a lot of people go ahead and honor their family by donating their organs, even if they weren't on the registry. So ultimately, if you have that on your license, yes, we know that's your intentions, but your family also can try to help make that decision in a time of grief to donate organs as well. And the beauty of that is what we try to work on is really telling those stories because, you all have several people here at Roux Fitness that are touched by transplant and donation. And, I think for us, those stories are what are so incredible. And seeing these young children who were growing up and thriving, and when we had first met them, they were, up to our knees, and now they're up to our shoulders. And, one of my favorites is a young boy, Blake, who is just graduated high school, played baseball, and he's now going to school at Tulane on a scholarship and says that he's hoping to go in the medical field to help other kids like him because with his new heart, he can make all things happen. And, you hear those stories. I know.
My heart.
Don't worry. But, you hear those stories, and that's what's so beautiful about it. So, yeah, nobody wants to talk about the doom and gloom. We like to really talk about the positive of it because I think that for most of us, we just want to know we can make a difference.
I have to say that was one of the reasons why we wanted to partner with y'all. I don't know if Sarah came with me, but Aimee Galland, who is the head princess at Princess Hour at Roux Fitness.
I'm going to have to explain this again.
Lead princess.
She is lead princess at Princess Hour. She is very philanthropic and invites Roux Fitness to participate in things and asks like me and Sarah to come to events. And we went to one of the events for Legacy, and it was a fashion show, and Aimee emceed it. And I am telling you, these stories that she told as these transplant recipients and donors were walking the catwalk, and I was in tears. It was the most touching thing I have ever participated, like so awesome. And yeah, I remembered those stories, and I was like, I think we should partner with them.
Nicole, besides Blake, do you have any touching stories to your heart? You could share one right now.
There's a lot. I think one of the most touching stories to me is probably not the happiest one, but it's the fact that our founder, David Belker, who started Legacy back in 1999 because his brother needed a liver transplant, very successful. His brother's doing great. David found out probably about a little over 5 years ago that he had pulmonary fibrosis and needed a lung transplant. And ended up going inpatient at the Cleveland Clinic, finally got his lung, but he's one of those stories of how sometimes organs that don't come soon enough are just not the most positive of outcomes. But I think that story is a beautiful story to me, not in the fact that he lost his battle to the need for an organ transplant, but the beauty in that he created something that far beyond him ever knowing he would actually need it, and even though David's not with us anymore, we're still able to give. And I also think the fact that our name is Legacy Donor Foundation.
I was just about to say,
Right.
like,
so
ultimate legacy.
It's so fitting because I always say that, like, it is a true honor to carry on his legacy. And even though, he's part of the story of why we do what we do, because there are people who are definitely on that waiting list that we forget that they're waiting, and I think that's part of the beauty of what Emily was saying was at this fashion show. Every year, we just are finding individuals that are either transplant recipients or they're donor families or they're individuals who are caregivers for a family member, and we get to share that story because I think the most beautiful thing, though, is realizing someone's a recipient and having no idea that you walk past that person day in and day out and you had no idea that person was impacted.
At that luncheon, one of the girls that walked is a girl I went to high school with, and she was walking because her father was a recipient. And I had no idea that her family had been through this. And I know even my best friend recently, a couple years ago, her mother received a kidney transplant, and her father donated his, I forget exactly how that works, but he donated for Katie, and it helped move her up on the list.
Not to her, but he donated to somebody else,
Yes.
and it moved her up.
Yep.
Interesting.
So there are, and I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
A big initiative is living donation, because it is something that most people who are on the transplant waiting list, especially for a kidney, it could be 5 to 7 years before you actually get that transplant. And so a lot of times if you find a family member who's willing to donate, but they're not a match for you, there's an option for you to actually have them donate and you become part of a donor chain.
Yes.
And so what's so cool about that is that, you might have your loved one donate to person number 4, but then person number 3 might get person number 4's kidney recipient, be the kidney recipient of that kidney, and then number 2, and then to 1. And so all of a sudden you've got this big chain that happens, but also the altruistic donations that happen, which is just someone who's maybe touched by the because who says, look, I'm healthy and I don't know how my organs are going to be when, that day comes. So maybe I'll just donate a kidney now. They usually spawn a donor chain of people who just needed that one little person to come in to create the whole thing from happening. And so we'll oftentimes hear great stories about things happening just with someone deciding to donate out of the kindness of their heart to someone they don't know.
Yeah, I had no idea how that worked. And we had this conversation. It's her family. It's she has the gene as well, and she will probably need a kidney transplant in like her 40s. And it ended with this very tearful conversation with like, if I need to, you're like, you can have it. I'll move you on the list. But I had no idea that was an option.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Super cool.
Well, I think it's amazing because it's something that, we all need our health and we need our organs while we're here. But we don't realize that sometimes we take that with us and that it could be something that helps give someone true life. And, I think that's also the beauty of us working with you guys is that part of what we also talk about is health and wellness. And one of the things we know is the 2 leading causes of kidney failure are high blood pressure and diabetes. Both of which can, also be somewhat regulated with just proper diet and exercise. And so, we're really hoping to pull our Wellness Wednesdays initiative and really kick that off with you guys and have a really great opportunity for us to not only talk about organ donation, but let's keep our organs healthy so we don't have to get
Prevention.
to that point.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think that's so important in our community.
What is the most common organ needed?
So kidneys are the number 1 on the transplant waiting list. I was telling you guys before we jumped on that I always have to look at the numbers because they change from day in and day out. But currently 84% of people on the transplant waiting list nationally need a kidney.
Why do you think that is? Why is kidney the most
I think
common?
it's because it's the 2 things that people don't always realize are leading to the failure with that,
Lifestyle?
Well, it's just our 2 major things in our community, I do think, too. Heart disease and diabetes are 2 very prevalent things, but they're also 2 things that we don't realize sometimes are occurring. We don't listen to the early signs and symptoms, and kidneys are irreversible with the damage that happens. It's one of those things that, if you don't have your organs flushed properly, your hormones don't work properly, everything that you do health-wise impacts your kidneys. That's your kidney's primary role is to, help keep your body filtered. And so I think that we can definitely put a beating on them ourselves, but we also sometimes have health conditions that we ignore and we don't listen to those things. But, 84% nationally need kidneys, and in Louisiana, we have 88% of individuals that need kidneys on our transplant waiting list. So there's a disparity there. So it's also something that we have to look at what's different in our community that we have 4% higher people, than the national average waiting for kidneys. So
Is it the culture of drinking?
You know what? I don't necessarily know if you can tag it to just drinking or eating or the sedentary lifestyle. Can't even say
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know what the exact factor is that leads to it, and I think that that kind of is also up to the individual who goes through that type of struggle with their kidney health and what has led to that. But for the most part, we do know that we also have a community that doesn't always go for preventative health care. We eat terribly. We celebrate big. We have some things, and I think that's why we feel like as a community it's important to really talk about the health and wellness aspect, but also being our own health advocate and listening to ourselves and listening to our bodies and questioning and being okay to say, hey, this doesn't seem right. And when somebody says, oh, you're fine, to say, no, wait, I really don't think it seems right. And, understand that not only are you doing a great thing to potentially prevent yourself from having issues, but ultimately, if we live healthier lives, we're healthier people to be able to pass that on to others.
Besides the heart, what is the... I'm sorry, I'm going for trivia here. I'm interested in these facts. Besides the heart, what is the hardest organ to get?
I think that it depends as far as organs go. Obviously lungs are very fragile, especially in this time of COVID. We are just recently resuming lung transplants.
Can you harvest any COVID organs?
Well, we don't harvest any organs. We recover organs. We're not farmers.
Also, harvesting is like you wake up in the bathtub with an incision and there's ice chest. You've just been drugged and it's on the black market.
Right.
That's harvesting.
It has a very negative
That's what
connotation.
happened after your car accident when
Yeah,
the medics came.
You thought it was paramedics that pulled up. They were
Recovery-wise, it's also amazing because there's so many things now that are coming with just modern technology that even have different equipment that can actually help simulate the function of not only heart or a lung. So sometimes these transplant physicians can actually see how well these organs function. A lot of times when organs are recovered, we're really taking that on the basis of how test results work, how you look on a lab perspective. But once those organs are recovered, it's also a very fine line if that's the perfect organ for that person. So we're very fortunate. We don't have to make that decision.
Right.
Nor to the hospitals. There's actually a group called UNOS, and it's the United Network of Organ Sharing. And it is this completely cool but complicated computer system that puts everything together with your blood type, your height, your weight, how your labs look, everything. So you have to be sick enough to be at the top of the list, but healthy enough to survive a transplant. And so it's really just an incredible system in place that, like I said earlier, there's over 100,000 people nationally on it and about 2,000 people in the state of Louisiana. And so they really, really look at who that person is. Obviously, when an organ is recovered, it tries to stay in that allocation system as close to home as possible, but then might go regionally or nationally based on the best match.
So with, you brought up a point, sick enough to be on the list, healthy enough to be able to survive or
Surgery.
the surgery. When someone gets sick enough to where they need an organ, is there like a recommended protocol to be like, okay, you need to get, or to boost their immune system or get healthier?
Absolutely. And, it's a really great question because including our founder, David Belker, at one point was his BMI was higher than what they wanted it to be. So part of what he did was went on a very, very strict protocol with diet and exercise to get his body healthy enough to know that he was definitely in the best shape and his parameters were best fit for him to have a good outcome on those. And he obviously had worked really hard and did, but sometimes timing isn't always the best. But yes, so part of the whole procedure when individuals are waitlisted is they do have a team surrounding them with what you should do as far as taking care of your health, diet, other things. A lot of times, especially people who have things that are related to a wellness or health initiative, they'll have to reduce their sodium intake, increase their fluid intake with water, other things that will actually help their kidneys or other organs function better.
Good to know. And I imagine with something like a kidney, you probably have some time to try to, some people.
Well, no, it's true. I mean,
you have time to get that stuff in order.
Well, yeah. So
to get
end-stage
healthier.
renal disease, which is what actually leads to kidney failure, is not reversible. So once you hit that end stage, you can't go back and fix it. However, dialysis actually helps prolong the process. So what it's actually doing is serving as
so you have time to get the rest of your body in order to be able to accept that organ.
You do. And honestly, people can live on dialysis for a prolonged period of time. It's not necessarily the perfect way, and the mortality rate is definitely higher on dialysis than it is with a transplant, but it is helpful where other organs you don't have that ability. There's not something that is another opportunity, I guess, to kind of keep your organ functioning beyond what it's able to do as you have with the kidneys.
Oh, sweet.
Can I just say that you just ooze passion about this
Yeah.
cause? Is there something specific that has drawn you to this organization or your work in philanthropy?
Yeah, so actually, I started in the nonprofit world about 15 years ago, and I kind of went back and forth, did a few things with consulting after my daughter was born, and realized that it wasn't nonprofits that really were my passion. It was the fact that at the end of the day, I knew I could be saving someone's life. That was my passion. I love to know that, every single person who gets a transplant is another person who's home with their family. It's another person who's going to be celebrating Thanksgiving and Christmas and the holidays and another birthday that goes by. And I just think that's like so incredible because, there's this funny saying without trying to get too religious, but don't take your organs to heaven. Heaven knows we need them here. And, I think so many of us make that decision that no, we don't want to be a donor and no, we don't want to donate our loved ones' organs. But what we don't realize is that those organs that are perfectly healthy are just going to go on the ground, and you could be giving someone else their family back.
So unless your religion is ancient Egyptian and you're going to be mummified, give up the organs, please. Thank you.
Pass them on. Pass them on. Yes, we need them. And I think that that's the thing for me is that the passion really comes from the people. And that's why the luncheon, and I'm so glad that you guys said that you enjoyed the luncheon. That's why it's so special to me because I felt like we had such a big story to tell. And I really, really wanted to do that. I'm a very visual person. So I wanted to do that with something people could visually see. I mean, it's great to put someone's picture on a postcard or in a materials or up on a screen, but it's another thing to see them walking, talking, to hear their story, to see their emotion. And this year, for the first year at our luncheon, we had a donor family that participated, and it was his twin and his widow who walked together, and it was really, really emotional for them. And I had to apologize after because I said I really didn't think about the side that you would feel. I thought, oh, how amazing, we have a donor family. But for them, it was the first time that they had actually been out to say we're paying tribute to him. And it was a beautiful moment, but also when everybody was getting ready with all the scramble in the dressing room, because one of the things we do is their hair and their makeup, which is also really special. On top of Amy doing these amazing outfits that she, just curates this entire beautiful show. And then we do it at the Cannery, which is like one of my favorite places in the world. Kelly's
Shout out to Kelly Levy.
She's amazing. She's so much
Who
fun.
also has a Roux connection.
She is so much fun to work with. But, we're doing this. And I didn't realize that as people were introducing themselves, there's, it's really funny because it's, hey, I'm Nicole and I had a kidney. Hey, I'm Emily and I had a heart, or whatever. And so, they're all kind of introducing themselves. And this individual, these two girls both said, we're a donor family. And all the recipients just looked at them with this just look of endearment, but also I think a lot of people that are recipients have that little bit of survivor's guilt. Like someone else had to lose their loved one for me to have this organ. And so it was just a really amazing thing. And so I think that's my passion. I think my passion is driving on all of those feelings and emotions and knowing that at the end of the day, we're doing something incredible. And that every single person who partners with us is helping us just build this beautiful love story of more people that are able to be here in the world. And I mean, what better feeling can you have? You know?
I don't know if y'all know this. We had a former member, Paul. He received a double lung transplant twice.
He's a volunteer at WODi Gras every year.
Always
He's
a volunteer
great.
at WODi Gras. He has his donors, I believe, dates of birth,
tattooed,
death tattooed on his arm.
Oh, wow.
It's so important. And so
I know, I'm going to cry thinking about all this.
Well, and one of the things we're really hoping to bring to this event as well that we've kind of gone back and forth is really to bringing those, if we can't bring them there for safety reasons, obviously people who've had transplants have to be super careful about making sure that they protect themselves in that precious organ that they have received or organs. But one of the things we want to do is really create their stories for individuals who are at the event to be able to see their picture and hear a little bit about their story and really pledge to doing this event in their honor and coming up with a way that they can pick one of those stories that means the most to them and really let them know that hey, I'm doing this for you.
Oh, love it.
And people can help without actually donating their organs, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's multiple ways.
No, I just want to say for someone out there, if you're listening and you want to contribute in a certain way and you're not ready to give up or be a living donor or whatever, there's other ways you can assist.
There's a lot of ways you can help. And I think one of the things, too, is a lot of people are very hesitant to go to the Office of Motor Vehicles or go, get your license renewed and other things. And when we go, we're sometimes frustrated. And the last thing we want to do is be like, yes, I would love to be an organ donor. But, if you haven't done that already in that process, you can go online and register at donatelifela.org. You can also go to your health app in your smartphone. And you can register as a donor.
Oh, that's
cool.
good to know.
So
That's
all
easy.
of you healthy people that exercise while you're listening here,
Do it right now.
you go visit your health app and you can register. I think that as far as individuals that feel compelled to carry on or let other people know, we provide materials they can take to work with them. A lot of times, National Donor Day is on Valentine's Day, so it's a really good opportunity for us to encourage people to put little heart-shaped suckers, or we can provide some for you with a little sign to just say, like, don't forget to show your heart and be a registered donor. So we have a lot of resources we can provide if you feel like you want to share the message. We also have fundraising events and other things people can participate in. We have a
Soul
booklet.
Revival is the biggest one, right?
Soul Revival is our annual event every year. It is over 20 years old, and it is great. We always say we're having a soul-shaking good time. So, we make it really fun, and in the past, it really was more of a house party where we just kind of would transition a home or street or yard into just this big backyard party, and we're not sure what that's going to look like after
Right.
we resume back to our new normal, but we're dedicated to keeping on that event. We love it. It's amazing, and it raises a majority of the funds that we turn around and use to print materials and provide education and resources.
So, Emily, what will we be doing at WODi Gras for Legacy?
We are going to be doing a raffle, much like we just did at our last event, to raise some funds for you guys. And then, like Nicole mentioned, we're going to be doing something interactive. So the mission is definitely a part of what we do at WODi Gras.
To
Awesome.
tell stories.
Yeah, tell stories.
I love it. Anything else to add?
Just to recap, WODi Gras is January 23rd, 2021. We have a new venue this year. We're at Crescent Park at the Pavilion. So we're really excited about that view, and we're excited that it will be covered because I won't be spending my nights awake worrying about rain.
Looking at the forecast.
Hooray!
So there is a very good shot that it is going to be amazing with the city in the background on the river.
It will be amazing.
There's also a chance that if it is 30 degrees, you should bundle up pretty good.
Yeah. We have athlete registration open. We have volunteer registration open. Come. It's always a good time, even if you're just a spectator.
And if you've received an organ, let us know. It'd be interesting to come out to the event, and probably wouldn't wear a mask.
Yeah.
We won't have vaccines by then. Or maybe. Who knows? I have no idea. No one knows what's going on. But we'd love to have you. Check us out. You can check us out on Instagram at WODi Gras, I believe. That's WODi Gras. Stands for Fat Wad.
Nicole, can we follow Legacy anywhere?
Yeah.
Yes, we are Legacy Donor on Instagram and Legacy Donor Foundation on Facebook. So
Nice.
Feel free to follow us and
Yep.
reach out. Rue knows how to reach us if you
Yep.
want to get more involved or share our mission. We'd be happy to provide any
Register to be an
information.
organ donor.
I love it. Register to be an organ donor. There you go. That and 5-star reviews, likes, only kind words.
4 sentences gets you a
4
free fitty.
sentences.
I do have one quick thing I want to add
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
we wrap up. We promote organ, eye, and tissue donation, and we talked a lot about organ donation.
Yeah.
But the gift of sight is a beautiful thing. We forget how many people can't drive because they can't see the colors on the lights that turn red, yellow, green.
Yeah.
That prevents them from being able
Carl
to
can't see
drive.
anyway.
All of these things that happen. But I think that you all probably are also very familiar with many people that are tissue recipients. A lot of people have injuries or have had other types of ailments that have led them to have tissue transplants. A lot of people have torn meniscus, ACLs. Sometimes you can have a choice to have a cadaver's ligament or to use an artificial.
I got that
but,
cadaver ligament.
But, that means you're a recipient. And
Oh,
so-
I'm a recipient.
so what's really amazing is that the tissue side of recipients are not quite the same as organs. You don't
Right.
necessarily meet the person and say, hey, thanks for giving me your ligament or the family member. I know y'all like to keep it light. I'm trying to help here. But, I do think
Thank you for my ACL. I appreciate it. I am now able to do box jumps and lifts.
I
WODi
run
Gras.
real fast.
Yes,
That would
absolutely.
greatly affect your life if you didn't have that.
Well, you forget about that. And a lot of dental
Right.
procedures, people use bone to rebuild a lot of dental procedures. So we forget the big impacts, not of just the big heroes or the people that we can say, oh, you gave someone a heart or lungs or kidneys or liver or other things. But there are some people that have just restored sight or really quality of life through tissue donation.
Is there a way we
Yeah.
can sign people up for organs, being an organ donor and tissue donor at WODi Gras?
Yes. So
Yeah.
We're gonna
organ
do
tissue
that.
donation registry is very easy, and we can actually have a little station
We
set
should
up
make
where
it
people can do
mandatory
Oh.
if you're registering. Because if you're doing CrossFit, you might need tissue in the future. You might as well give up yours when you die. Okay.
need
Same
filling.
thing for all those female soccer players
Oh,
out there.
jeez.
You guys should all be on the donor list too.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, Emily gave me that look like wrap it up.
Bless.
Yeah. All right, y'all. At Roux_fitness on Instagram. Make sure to share, subscribe,
Yeah.
like all the stuff, all the goodies. We appreciate it. On behalf of Nicole, Legacy Foundation, Sarah and Emily, and all of Rouville, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.